There may come a time after a major disaster that you are without help because no help is coming. In a complete collapse of our society due to war, economic hardships, environmental disasters, major civil unrest, or a despotic governance, you may have started with a plan, but circumstances have forced you into a situation that requires you to take a risk and venture forth and scavenge. This is the Urban Sentinel, and let's get into it. Now, I'm sure there are dozens of channels with videos out there talking about SHTF and scavenging. I've even covered it on a few videos myself on this channel. But with that being said, this is about when you've already made a plan and something as it's expected to has gone wrong, and you have to go out and you have to get parts, get pieces, whatever it is, to keep your entire operation going. It's more on the basis of you're not out to browse, you're not out to window shop, you're not out to take a look around to see what's going on. You're going out for the express purpose of acquiring an item or items that are of benefit and need to you, because the one that you had, or the two that you had, or the three that you had have been used up, broken, lost, stolen, whatever the situation is, but you're now in desperate need for those to be replaced, so that way you can keep surviving. Scavenging for anything just to scavenge or salvage is almost a waste of time and effort, because yes, while you can say that, well, someone will have a need for it, sure. If you're going to open up a little corner black market, scavenge shop in the middle of the wasteland, that's fine. But otherwise, picking up pieces of junk here and there on the basis that you may come across someone who might need that you can then trade them for something that they might have, you're going to be expending more of your resources in doing that. Scavenging is something that should be done only when absolutely necessary, and you do it with the express and intent purpose of acquiring exactly what you need for what you need it. Not for, oh, I'll just have this to have this, and if someone else needs it and I can trade, or if I decide later on that, oh, now I'm going to use it. That's what scavenging is not about, because you put yourself at risk on multiple levels when you go out in a situation like that. Now, the first part of scavenging is you've got to have the right tools for whatever the job is that you're planning on doing. If you are already looked at starting to build up your basic hand tools and power tool supply right now, that's good. Getting sets of tools to cover multiple types of tasks is going to be necessary. Now, it's not to say that these tools here are every type of tool that you'll need. There are too many to go through. I'm just throwing out a couple just so you have an idea. You want to make sure that you've got pliers, some type of pliers, needle nose, vice grips, things like that. You want to have at least 2 or 3 different types depending upon the situation. Oddball things that most people don't think about, such as, a Torx head driver, Allen keys, even something simple as a pocket knife, having one of those on hand. These water spigot utility keys, wrenches, scissors, screwdrivers, at least 2 to 3 pairs of Phillips flatheads, different lengths, you'll need those. Socket sets, a hammer, duct tape, a hacksaw. Now, hand tools by themselves are perfect because to the greater extent, one, you don't need to charge them up. They don't need to be running on a power system to function. But power tools also are a benefit as long as you have 2 primary things: batteries and a way to keep those batteries charged. And the primary benefit of hand tools over power tools, and it's a slight benefit, is something that a lot of people don't consider. When you are in a post-apocalyptic situation and you are doing the best you can to survive, there are going to be threats, there are going to be dangers out there. Having hand tools is a means to get the job done you need for scavenging without letting everyone else know that you're doing something. Power tools are great, and by all means, if you have power tools, like I said, batteries and a way to keep them charged. But power tools are noisy. That's the key difference. I can get under a car with wrenches and sockets and work what I've got to work from there, and you won't hear a thing even if you're standing right near the vehicle. I get under there with a power tool and it's faster, but it's noisier. And that's the key thing. You have to take into account the situation that you're in. You may be in a situation in that event where there's no one else around and you're highly confident there's no one else around. Then by all means, use the power tools, get the job done quickly as you need to get it done, and get going. But in some situations, you need to be quiet, you need to be stealthy. So it's a matter of balancing out speed over stealth. The other slight advantage that hand tools have is with hand tools, they are lighter. Now, granted, if you're walking around carrying a 300-piece tool set, that's not really light. But if you've got 3 or 4 power tools and 2 or 3 batteries, and you've got a few other things on top, that's going to, balance out to be the same amount of weight. So you really have to think about what it is that you're planning on doing, and that's the key thing. You're not going to bring tools for plumbing if you're not trying to get something that requires plumbing tools. And same thing as mechanical tools for a car. You're not going to bring certain tools for a vehicle if you're not going to be working on a vehicle, scavenging parts from that vehicle. So you bring the appropriate tools for the job that you plan on doing. Another thing not to be overlooked, bolt cutters. Because again, this is only for the purpose that the entire world has gone down the toilet and you are in a state of survival 24/7. You need to make sure that you have a pair of bolt cutters with you, so if you have to get into a locked area, something that's gated and chained up, you've got bolt cutters. You can even use these to cut wires if you needed to. Also, you want to make sure that you've got at least a pair of safety goggles and some gloves, because the last thing that you need is to catch dust and rust in your eyes and be blinded and injured in the middle of everything that's going on. Now, with all that being said, you also need a way to transport your tools no matter what type or combination of tools you have. So you want to be able to have it in some type of bag that you can keep all the tools in one single case and bring it with you. Preferably something that is manageable, that keeps them, basically together and organized as best as possible. Now, they make tool rolls where you can put individual hand tools into a roll up and do that, but you can also take a large towel or a medium-sized towel, fold it in half the long way, lay your tools out, and then just roll the towel up. And if you've got a bungee cord or rubber bands, wrap it up that way, throw it into the bag, so at least all the tools are together. Because again, you're going on the basis that you don't need to be rattling around, clanging and banging, making unnecessary noise, especially if you're trying to go out quietly, get what you need, and then get back unnoticed. Bags could be anything from a large gear bag like this, because you have to take into account whatever it is you're going out to scavenge. You want to be able to preferably bring it all back in one bag, so this way, at the minimum, your hands are free. You can have a small, simple utility duty bag like that you can put things in. You could have a backpack. Whatever it is that works for you for that situation, that's what you need to have, because you want to be able to go, do what you got to do, get all the goodies, and then get back to your safe spot before anything bad else happens. So the primary things you got to think about is 1, having tools. 2, having tools that you know how to use and that you know what they're used for. 3, having that balance between hand tools and power tools, specifically battery operated tools. Because even if you have a generator of either fossil fuel or solar, you may not want to use that resource just to use power tools, plug them in and doing things, unless it's something to effectively move along a repair on your structure faster. Then again, that's what it comes down to, stealth versus speed, because the less you advertise, the longer you have to stay anonymous. You keep that sort of anonymity within the environment that you're in. People may not even notice you. People may have passed through the area, but when you start hearing drills and all types of loud noise going on, something that says, oh, those are power tools, that means there's power somewhere. Even if it's a cordless tool, that means that someone has a means to keep that thing charged up, and that becomes something of interest to them. Getting everything that you need now, we all know as preppers, it's a difficult thing. We get what we can, we get what we feel is on the high end of our list for certain things that are important, but tools should definitely be on there. Many people, if you've already got it and you've got a full tool set, you've got different types of tools set up, and you're good to go. If you haven't started in that avenue yet, if you're still new to prepping, start with a small tool set. And you start looking at the hardware stores, they've got, those 30-piece sets and those 50-piece sets. Like I said, you want to have a basic minimum of wrenches and pliers and screwdrivers and, hammer and everything else, and buying the duct tape and the gloves and the safety goggles. Getting those things now at the minimum will help you out later on down the line. And again, the last thing you need to do is to have to go out to scavenge for tools to then use those tools to then fix a situation that's come up during this entire process, because that's just an extra step that puts you at risk that you don't need to do. So lastly, where you're at now and everything that's around you, the known resources around you. Yes, in a collapse situation, there's going to be looting. A lot of stuff is going to be cleared out from the shelves, but nothing ever is completely gone. In many cases, people come in, they grab what they know, and off they go, but a lot of stuff gets left behind. Knowing where those locations are, but knowing alternate resource locations. I did a video on going for the not so obvious places to look for things, and you have to keep that in mind now, because when that time comes, your brain may not be fully functioning on the process of thinking about where other sources of supplies and materials may be. And especially in certain situations, those areas may be off limits to you because of the environment or because of hostile forces or whatever it is. So you may always have to then look for another source location, another way to work around the problem that you have. Anyway, catch you in the next one.